Okay, let's address the prospects of the telecom business into the new year. Could 2019 be different for telcos? Airtel and Vodafone Idea have changed their tariff plans. First prepaid tariff change that we've seen since Jan 2018. How does it all pan out? Sanjay Kapoor, who's an industry expert, joins in with his take. Sanjay, good morning. As we step into the new year, is there going to be good news for telecom?
Good morning. Well, I think let's quickly recap 2019, and it's been a very tumultuous year for the industry. Some very notable changes happened. The industry incumbents who used to make money in this industry went into the red, and also the number one player in the market became a number two operator of the market because of the merger that happened between Vodafone and Idea. And these are not normal shifts that happen in any market. They seldom happen, and therefore these are very notable changes. Also the consolidation of the industry to just three, and also consolidation of tower companies for that matter, because there are only three tenants now available in the market. Of course BSNL is there, but they are a very weak player. So I think given that, we are now entering into a phase where there's almost a parity on the prices in the market, and whether it's incumbents or the challenger, their prices are almost at par, and therefore the difference now during the coming year will emerge out of who builds a better experience. And of course that requires a huge amount of investment. If you see what's going on in other countries of the world, the amount of money that is going into data transformation and building a great customer experience are unprecedented, and that has left to a global consolidation market after market. In most markets of the world now, there are only three players left, not even four in most of them, and only one makes money. The second player is virtually on the borderline, neither here nor there, and the third one is unprofitable. It's for a simple reason that no matter how large your balance sheet is, the amount of money that's required to transform to data networks and experience requires a similar amount of money, and therefore the smaller operators become more irrelevant and unaffordable and unviable. And with the advent of 5G that the whole world talks about as a fashion statement, there is no true business case that has evolved any part of the world. Everybody is experimenting, there are skirmishes, but nobody is seriously moving into 5G. And India is far removed from that, given the plight of the operators and the pricing that sits in our country. Moreover, why would somebody invest into a technology like 5G? It's simple. It's because of speed, it's because of latency, and it's because of network of IoT that gets created for millions of devices in a very concentrated area. Now those type of applications are all B2B applications, and the demeanor of most of the operators globally is that of a B2C, and therefore to transform from a B2C thinking to use cases which are B2B use cases requires more than just investments. And I think India, given the investment pressure, given the B2B environment, B2C sort of mindset where we first build a network then go and sell it, unlike that 5G you will have to first find use cases and then build networks, and they could be in smaller geographies and then grow. So I think given all that, with the pressure on profitability and the ask on customer experience related investments and building a 4G video ready network before we migrate to 5G, I think next year is going to be equally tough for the industry. And where is all that money going to come from? Because given the current profitability and the leverage of the industry, it doesn't seem easy for that money to come by. Although all companies are making attempts, Bharti is making attempts, Vodafone Idea is making attempt, I'm sure Reliance gets pushed on the profitability as well. But I think it's going to be a challenging year for the industry on the quantum of investments that are required to create any sort of great video-led customer experience in the Indian marketplace.
How much more disruptive can RelJio be with its plans? I know people are, Idea and Vodafone are still a key player in the market, but the top order competition is really between Airtel and RelJio. How do you see that battle playing out?
Look, let's be very pragmatic. Any disruption created by the challenger in the market is very highly correlated to his aspirations. And anything counter or mellowing down on his aggression or his disruption takes away from his aspirations. And therefore, I don't think the stated objectives of the challenger have been met as yet. And therefore, the aggression is going to die down. We see some green shoots which a lot of analysts talk about to say, are we recovering, recouping on the pricing? But if you see, the headline tariffs are not changing, right? It's just the peripheries. They're still playing around with the cutoffs that are required, or the amount of data that's given to you, or the number of days of validity. So they are playing on the peripheries. They're not taking the bull by the horn, because we have a structural issue with the pricing mechanism in our country. And this pricing is not sustainable. We are all aware of that. But given the competitive pressures and the challenge by the challenger in the market, it's not easy to move the headline tariffs. So I think one thing is very clear, that operators are, at least the incumbents, are now taking a call to say they are going to go for ARPU as opposed to serving low-end customers. So they've put a cutoff of 35 rupees at the bare minimum on prepaid, which would mean that millions of customers who give them 10 rupees and 15 rupees and 20 rupees, even if they go away, it does not matter to them. Now, will this be revenue neutral? I'm not too sure. Time will speak, because these could be hundreds of millions of customers at the low end. But will it be ARPU accretive? Absolutely. So I think rightly so, the incumbents are realizing that to protect ARPUs and to have an upward trend on ARPU is required, because let's have quality customers on the network. I think that's coming very clearly. They're taking that call. But the challenge that they have is they are grappling with three technologies. They have 2G, 3G, 4G. And the challenger has only 4G. And that too, they are playing a catch-up game on the 4G. Voda is right behind. Then Airtel is, like you rightly said, ahead of them. And then Jio, who's got a differential. But when you really compare our 4G networks with, say, China has 2.5 million 4G sites with China Mobile, and they're adding almost 300, 400,000 every year. India has, even with the best operator, about 200,000, right? And the lesser ones maybe 100,000, 140,000. Now, a lot of people are critical of the fact that does China need 2.5 million? That's not correct. And I probably agree with that argument. Okay, India doesn't need 2.5 million. But on the contrary, 200,000 is not right as well. So I think the golden mean is somewhere in between. And to make that investment, to provide the sort of coverage, to provide the sort of experience to customers, which is blemishless, contiguous, all across on video, is going to require a huge amount of investment. And I think we are far from there. So I guess these disruptions are not going to go away till the aspirations of the challenger are met. And some of the things that are happening are some tough calls that the incumbent operators are taking, and rightly so.
Yeah. So what is it that we're staring at stepping into 2019, Sanjay? Because, you also highlighted validity has been increased, but reduced data allowance has given some semblance of premium. Could this continue despite market share loss that the incumbents are seeing? And do you see any change in strategy meaningfully by incumbents to concentrate in maybe select more lucrative circles rather than worrying about the overall market share loss?
Yeah, I think, the biggest call sitting on the incumbent table today is when do they sunset some of the irrelevant technologies? The fact of the matter is Bharti Airtel is the only operator in the market who has a pan-India 3G coverage. And 3G is a defunct technology the world over, right? When do they sunset that technology and move to 4G whole hog, use the very expensive spectrum to serve 4G customers and 4G experience, and compete directly with Jio because they're only a 4G operator? Now, that's a hard call. Also, the incumbents are sitting with a lot of 2G, and in this day and age, if you're doing TDM in an IP world, you are utilizing your resources very inefficiently, right? A call has to be taken. My own take is maybe 3G will go away first and 2G will follow. But eventually the expensive spectrum, all the sub-gigahertz spectrum that sits has been deployed to serve some of these older technologies. And that needs to be reformed to provide a much better productivity and customer experience. So I think that's a big challenge with all these guys. The second big challenge is to say, if I'm going to move towards there and if I'm going to really build, because the winner is not going to come out of the cheapest price player. The winner is going to come out of the player who offers the best experience to the customers. And if that has to be funded, where's the money going to come from? Yes, of course, they are trying to leverage and monetize their tower assets and passive infrastructure assets. But the problem is that everybody is a seller in that market. Everybody wants to sell and in cash. So I don't know whether they're going to get the premiums that they hope for in a seller's market. So in a buyer's market, sorry, not a seller's market over there. And I think those are the challenges that they have. They need really some very serious investments over the next few years to actually be looking at a data-centric infrastructure and also migration then to 5G at some stage, which I don't think three operators will be able to make. I think India will be able to afford just about one player to be investing in 5G, and if too much of investment goes behind 5G without use cases, it's going to be a very, very risky scene.
Yeah. Sanjay, I wish we had half an hour to really discuss what's going on with telecom. Clearly, 15 minutes is not enough, but unfortunately, we're running out of time. But thanks so much. Glad that you could take time out and speak with us today. And here's wishing you a happy 2019.
Happy 2019 to you as well. Thank you so much. And to the viewers.
Thanks. Yes, of course. Thank you so much for taking the time out.